But despite everything that's happened, I still want to see her. So I'm not giving up yet.
But a small part of me feels like it's not over just yet.
Hey everyone, what's up? It's Sarah and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Mike and Ben, Incel Mike, Bible Ben, from 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 Days Season 5. Just going to warn you guys in advance, this is probably going to be a tad bit of a rant because I have a lot of thoughts. I've made videos on Ben and Mike, respectively, their own videos. I kind of combined my thoughts on both of them into one video because essentially the theme is the same. They're incredibly problematic behavior towards Mahogany and Ximena. So in response to those videos, I've got comments on those videos and I'll link them down below in the description of this video. People want to know, what did you think about last Sunday's episode, about pretty much the culmination of the destruction of Ximena and Mike's relationship? She officially broke up with him. And then also just what did I think about Ben and his just not being able to take a hint, apparently. And so that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. I want to start off by saying that I can appreciate, and I realize as someone who has dated, I met my husband on Tinder. It was a rough go of there before I met my husband. I can absolutely appreciate the fact that the pursuit of a relationship is a delicate dance, if you will. You want to establish your interest in someone, but you also have to accept the fact that when it's not reciprocated, you have to cease the pursuit, because then you're going to start treading into the territory of harassing that person. And this goes for men and women. In today's video, I will be talking mostly about heterosexual men's pursuit of women and when it turns incredibly problematic. But I do recognize that this goes for men, women of all orientations and identities. So this is just not exclusive to heterosexual men, but that is the topic for today's video. I want to bring up a pop culture reference to start out because Kanye West, this is really applicable to what I'm talking about today. He has made headlines recently for his very public declarations of his desire to rekindle his relationship with his ex-wife, Kim Kardashian. Kim desired very much. She filed for divorce in February of 2021. We are over a year past the filing, and Kanye in recent months has seemed to be very resistant to accepting the relationship was over, and it really amped up when Kim started dating SNL comedian Pete Davidson. And mind you, Kanye had been seen with other women. You know, they seemed to be amicably co-parenting until Kim moved on. So again, Kim desired very much to be divorced and moved on from their marriage. And, you know, since Kim started dating Pete, I think that was in October or November of 2021, Kanye kept throwing roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. And he even sent her on Valentine's Day 2022, he sent a full truck bed of flowers to her house. He also made public declarations via songs that he wanted her back. And this all just made, you know, a lot of people really uncomfortable. When these overtures were not met with the desired reaction, he turned sinister, in my opinion. He started a social media campaign of harassment against Pete Davidson. He called on his followers to call Pete Davidson names. And he would continually go on and make claims against the Kardashian family that they were keeping him from seeing his kids. His online antics eventually led Instagram, or Meta, the parent company, to suspend his account for 24 hours. That's how amped up this got. I bring this up because we have to normalize, especially for young men, how to accept rejection gracefully or as gracefully as possible, and that it doesn't make the object of your affection or the person that rejected you a bad person. Real life is not John Cusack standing outside your window holding a boombox over his head, right? Real life is realizing that this is actually creepy behavior. We need to accept what the other person says as truth and not just assume that they are playing games. Acceptance and respect of a person's decision in a relationship is really the only correct course of action. You cannot force someone to be in a relationship with you. That is illegal. This is all a very long introduction into my key point of this video. Mike and Ben have to accept this rejection and take no for an answer. Anything less is toxic and incredibly problematic. Let's start with Ben.
I arrived back in San Bartolo yesterday after Mahogany left me in Wakachina, and I still haven't heard from her. I'm feeling mentally and emotionally exhausted, but despite everything that's happened, I still want to see her. So I'm not giving up yet. I want her to know that I still care about her. Even after all this, there's still something there and I want to pursue it.
Okay, so Ben goes to Peru. Let's go back in history a little bit. First of all, Ben gets divorced and then calls his 20 plus year marriage that produced 4 children cold. He constantly degrades his ex-wife. Lots of problematic overtures there. But let's start with the Mahogany Ben relationship. He goes to Peru after Mahogany ghosts him. I guess they had set up this trip, then he stopped hearing from her. And instead of taking that as a big giant hint, he decides to go to Peru. Mahogany time and time again makes it very apparent that she is uncomfortable and not interested in him. Yet Ben is intentionally blind to these social cues. And while I agree that Mahogany should have been more direct at times, we have to acknowledge first Mahogany's age, being 22. And that part of the problem that Mahogany, Ximena, and women in general face is that we are expected to be polite, and often we put up things that make us uncomfortable in order to not seem like a hysterical woman. We just want to be perceived as nice and, to hearken the keep sweet mentality from, fundy communities that does permeate into the general culture for women, that we are expected to act and behave a certain way. Mahogany leaves Ben in Wakachina and he has to take a $250 Uber back to San Bartolo. I mean, if that's not, she's just not into you, slapping you across the face, I don't know what is. But he still doesn't get the hint. And I mean, shit, that's not even a hint. That's pretty crystal clear. She didn't even want to drive back with you. And instead of going and taking that Uber to the airport, he goes and takes it back to her hometown because he still thinks that there is something there. He proceeds to lay a guilt trip on her to meet up with him again. And she does. And, there has been speculation, and I'm kind of starting to buy into, I just don't get, Mahogany's motivation here at all. I have heard that Ben said that he was cast on the show. I am starting to buy into the conspiracy theory that she could be a paid actress, because it just wholly does not make sense to me. But he proceeds to lay a guilt trip on her to meet up with him again. And after she meets up with him, he proceeds to grill her about deceiving him, especially about her age. And again, the difference between 22 and 24 is minuscule and only matters to Ben because now Mahogany is literally the same age as his kids. Let's move on to, in my opinion, the most problematic and explicit display of incel toxic masculinity that I have seen in a while with Mr. Mike.
Last night, me and Ximena broke up, and today has been really awkward, just really sad, because I leave tomorrow. But a small part of me feels like it's not over just yet. So I'm hoping that she'll think things over and just maybe relax a little bit, calm down, and come to her senses.
Te entrego las dos argollas de matrimonio y el anillo de compromiso.
Why don't you keep the rings and guard them safe until we can work out our differences?
No, es que o sea, nuestra relación ya se terminó. Es mejor que tú las lleves.
You do realize that you're losing the best thing that you could have ever had.
Lo mejor que pude haber tenido son mis hijos.
What kind of modeling job are you going to work for? Are you going to go back to that adult internet job?
¿Y qué pasa? Me conociste trabajando.
If we were able to work out our differences, I could have opened up so many opportunities for you. Why are you like this? Do you just want me out of your life forever? You don't even care?
Simplemente no me nace estar más contigo. Es todo. Se acabó esa no me mande dinero, no haga nada. Te vas a ir a dormir hoy a un hotel y mañana te vas para tu casa.
No.
Sí.
No.
Sí.
I have proof that I pay the rent in this house, so I'm not leaving.
Ximena didn't just ghost Mike. She fully broke up with him and he just cannot accept it. He hems and haws around the house, taking as long as humanly possible to pack his things because in his words, he hopes that she can calm down and come to her senses. Ximena is not out of her senses because she doesn't want to be with you, Mike. You are just not compatible. She just realizes that and broke up with you. That doesn't mean she's out of her senses. She's not a bad person. She is human. And she's trying to go about this in, might I say, a pretty gracious way, all things considered. And then this is just when Mike turns into a full-blown incel.
Makes me feel like that nothing else mattered to her besides the money that I was sending her. For all I care, she can be a freaking adult entertainment model for all I care. She's a mean, evil, cold bitch. You have to prove that.
Ximena decides to return the rings, which I don't know what the engagement rules are regarding the ring in Colombia is, but you know, here in America, there is an expectation that the ring would be given back at a broken engagement. But again, rules vary state by state. But it is a gift. It is a gift. I mean, but we do know Mike was like, I want all my stuff back. But she offers and returns the ring. I mean, I would have pawned it if I was Ximena. And honestly, to me, this just proves that it's not about the money for her. It's just that she doesn't want to be with Mike, and he can't fathom that at all. He then goes on to shame her for the career that she had where they met, because as we know, it's not accurate that they met when Mike just changed the settings on a dating app. How could a woman choose cam modeling over him? How could that be a profession she does not see shame in? And how could she rather work in that industry than depend on him for money? What a cold bitch. I mean, the entitlement of Mike, and this is like the incel mentality, is that there is an entitlement. And if, you know, if rejection occurs, it's because women are bitches. And it's just, it's so gross. Movies, books, TV shows have done a really good job enforcing the notion that if you make enough grand gestures, you can ultimately win over the object of your affection. Like if you prove yourself and your interest, you eventually could win the person over. In reality, if someone eventually comes around, you didn't win them over, you wore them down. And, you know, I think if anything is taken away from this video, it's that we have to take people at what they say and not assume or intimate any other meaning behind their words. You know, if they're playing games, let them play games. But ultimately, take people at their words. If they don't show up to dates, if they stop responding to you, I mean, if they flat out break up with you, as Ximena did, it's over. It's over. Anything less than acceptance of that is really, really toxic and problematic. You guys, let me know what you think down in the comments. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Reality Squad, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care. Have a good one. Much love.